Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Sharon Spurlock with the Family Support Team at the St. Louis Arc, and I'm so happy you've decided to join us today to talk a little bit about public transportation. We've got two wonderful guests here from Metro who are going to talk both about the ADA supports that are available through our public bus system, but also things that we're doing to make sure people feel safe when they're riding public transportation. Without further ado, I will have Amy and Melissa introduce themselves. Melissa, do you want to start?
Thank you for having me. My name is Melissa Webb, and I am the Director of Security, Media, and Customer Engagement for By State Development.
Thank you for being here. Amy, welcome back.
Hi, I'm glad to see you guys. My name is Amy Parker. I'm the Director of ADA Services here at Metro Transit, and we are excited to share some information with you today. So just a beautiful picture of the arch and the courthouse and downtown, and very close to where Missy and I are today. Okay, so we're just gonna introduce ourselves, which we did, talk about some different transportation options that we offer here at Metro. Missy is going to really hone in on safety on public transportation and tell you some things you may not know that help us keep us safe. And then I want to talk a little bit about some new and exciting apps that you can use if you're a Metro user. And we're going to do our best to save plenty of time for questions and answers. So there we are. You've seen us, and we will send this out. So you'll have our contact information if you need to send us an email or give us a call. So Metro offers 4 different categories of transportation, you might say. Um, One of them is the Metro bus. So those are the big buses that you see running up and down the streets. And they go on a regular schedule and they stop at the bus stops that you might see along the road. MetroLink is also part of that fixed route system. So that is our light rail train. And so MetroLink goes all the way from Shrewsbury all the way out to the Shiloh Scott Air Force Base. And in a few more months or a year, it will go all the way to the Mid-America Airport. And then the red line also goes all the way up to Lambert Airport. So MetroLink can take you pretty far. Metro Call-A-Ride is our on-demand ADA paratransit service. So Metro Call-A-Ride takes you to the same areas where Metro Bus and Metro Link go, but it's a curb to curb service. And Metro Call-A-Ride is for when your disability or the environment and your disability put together make it so that you're not able to use the Metro Bus or the Metro Link independently. Now, one thing that people don't always know is that some people use Call-A-Ride for some of their trips, and then they use Metro Bus and MetroLink for other trips. Maybe they've learned to use the Metro Bus to go to a familiar place, and then they use the Call-A-Ride for places that maybe they just go a couple times a year that has a complicated route to get to and from. And then finally, there's Via Metro St. Louis, and that is a service that is called microtransit. And it can be used to connect you to Metro Bus, Metro Link, or even Metro Call-A-Ride. And it operates in places where there's less bus service. And it's what they call an on-demand service. So you use an app or you call on the phone, and when you're ready to go somewhere, you call and you let them know where you need to be picked up and where you're going. So which one is best? It really depends for each person. Metro Bus and Metro Link, they go the same places on the same route every day, and they are the lowest cost. For example, with a reduced fare card, one Metro Bus ride is 50 cents. One Metro Link ride is $1.25. If you're a person who's eligible for Call-A-Ride, you can ride on Metro Bus and Metro Link for free. Then Metro Coloride and Via Metro St. Louis, those are shared ride services, so they don't always take the same route. They just operate in certain areas, and they cost a little bit more. Right now, each of those costs $2 each way. And then Metro Coloride, Metro Bus, and Metro Link, they all are serving the same areas. But that via Metro St. Louis, there's 3 zones which are smaller because their job is to connect you to where you might take Metro Bus, Metro Link, or Metro Coloride, or for shorter trips. And then we talked about that Coloride is for when your disability prevents you from using Metro Bus or Metro Link. So that might be that you don't know how to catch the bus and or maybe it's hard for you to learn to catch the bus, and even though you've tried travel training, it just isn't working. Or maybe you use a wheelchair and you need to have sidewalks and cutouts in the curb so that you can get your wheelchair from your house to the bus stop. So if there's not a good sidewalk there, then maybe you would need Coloride for that trip. For Coloride, there's an application and an assessment process to be eligible. However, with Via Metro St. Louis, Metro Bus, or Metro Link, anyone can use those. And by the way, the Via Metro St. Louis, they have wheelchair accessible vehicles in their fleet as well. So if you use a wheelchair, you can use Via. Okay, so then this slide shows how you can get started. So there's our website, www.metrostlouis.org/accessibility. That tells you a lot of things, how to get Coloride, how to get a reduced fare card, things like that. There's a different website for VIA, which is that same www.metrostlouis.org/VIA, which is VIA. But you can also just give us a call at the Transit Access Center, and our phone number is 314-982-1510. So you can call us because you'd like an application to use Coloride, or you can tell us that you don't need Coloride, but you'd like to request a reduced fare application for Metro Bus and Metro Link. Or finally, you can call us and say, gosh, I would like to learn how to use the Metro Bus or the Metro Link or VIA, and we will get you connected with a travel trainer. Our travel training program is kind of cool because they will find out where you're going. They will help look at the route, figure that out for you, and then they meet with you. They meet with your family member if you'd like as well. And then they're going to practice taking the bus or the Metrolink or the VIA until you and everybody that cares about you feels confident that you can do it safely. And then sometimes they teach you how to plan other trips. Sharon, were there any quick questions that we should answer before we start talking about safety?
Yeah, we've got a couple of questions from a friend, Allison, and I'm not sure I fully understand the first one, but I'm going to ask it and see. She can correct me if it's not what I want. But she's asking about the distance between bus stops and call ride pickups. If there's a way to, like, do you assess that there's a bus stop at least 1 mile from where the call ride drop off is?
The service area for the Coloride means, is there a bus stop or a Metrolink station within 3/4 of a mile from where that bus stop is? That's how they define how big the Coloride service area is. And so if it's a mile, that's further away than what the rules say that we need to provide. And we have so many people within that 3/4 of a mile who need Coloride services that if we expanded it out to a mile, we might have trouble meeting the rides that we are required to provide. So I
And that
understand,
requirement's about the ADA guidelines, correct?
yes, that the government tells us that the minimum that we need to follow. And we want to be sure that we can meet those minimum requirements and not spread ourselves too thin.
All
So,
right, fantastic.
okay.
If you want to hold this question until you talk about the apps, that's fine. But Allison asked if I need to cancel a trip, will I get my money back in the apps?
So the short answer is if you cancel a trip that you've paid on the app, it will not give you your money back into your bank account, but it won't charge you if you used your credit card, or it will put it back into your wallet in the app. So you don't lose the money. It just doesn't come back to you as cash.
It lays there until you take your next trip.
Correct.
Gotcha. I guess back to the first answer, the follow-up is that boundaries have changed and now it's not as close as it used to be. And is that something you reassess on some sort of a basis as locations of bus stops, boundaries for different pieces?
Absolutely. So many people are aware that we had trouble delivering all the trips we needed to when we had big staffing problems. And so I believe it was 1 or 2 years ago that we put it back to where it precisely went with where bus service went. And it can get bigger or get smaller when our bus service changes.
Okay.
So for example, I think it was in December when the bus that had not been going out to Fenton started going out to Wally's. So that made it bigger. Okay.
Gotcha.
And there's some small changes that are making things bigger. For example, when we didn't have that Tesson Ferry bus running, we didn't have Call-A-Ride there. But now the Lindbergh bus goes down and goes past Mercy South Hospital. So that makes more places that people can go on Call-A-Ride.
Fantastic.
So
I'm just going to jump in before we switch and remind everybody that advocacy isn't just about disability issues, and public transportation. Missouri is not as well funded as some other states for public transportation. So this might be a topic that's really important to you that you want to talk to your legislators about and make sure you stay informed about. So thank you for coming today. Hopefully you'll get juiced up and want to make sure that they spend some money on transportation, public transportation.
Yes.
All right, Melissa, is this your piece?
I want to add a comment to what you just said. So our region is so diverse, right? And obviously our transit, our alignment, especially with Metrolink, crosses over the river, right? So it's 2 states, and then it's three different counties also, all within the area that we cover. And back in the day, before I started working with Bi-State Development, I actually was a police officer. So I worked for the St. Louis County Police Department. I was a captain there for 28 years, by the way. And one of my really coolest assignments that I had was to be the commander of the Metrolink unit. And I learned so very much about the health of our region during that assignment. And I realized just how important it is to have a healthy transit system to keep our region moving forward. There's so many people that depend upon it. Absolutely. There's so many people that depend upon it. And I believe in it 100%. That's why when I retired, Bi-State Development came knocking and they were like, hey, we'd like for you to come back. And I'm like, absolutely. If there's anything I can do to help the region to continue to be successful and to survive, I'm all about it. So I just wanted to jump on there and add that in, Sharon. So what you see here, what this slide is that it says safety on Metrolink. It's the secure platform plan. So there are two photographs that are pictured here. One is a photograph of a drone footage of our Emerson Park location. That was our very first location to receive the security enhancements of the secure platform plan. What the secure platform plan is a gating system, which also includes security fencing, which is 8 foot, and also an increase in our closed caption television monitoring system. So basically, that's a big word. Our surveillance system has increased. So our camera views at each of the locations that have already received the secure platform plan, our views have gone from sometimes 5 camera views up to 30 camera views. Why is that important? Well, that's important because coming from that background in law enforcement, we knew that technology was key to continue to keep our community safe. So has Bi-State Development. That's why they have increased those camera views. Those camera views also are being monitored. And I'll show you a photograph coming up of our real-time camera center. The secure platform plan in and of itself is basically taking our open system on the Metrolink and closing that. Why did we do that? We did that because oftentimes things happen exteriorly off of our property and then they ended up on our property. So what we were trying to do is to create a barrier system for those things to stay out and to increase the security for our transit community. The other photograph that's on this slide is a close-up of a gating system. This is actually Union Station. You can see in this photograph that there are increased camera views on the exterior of the gating system and also on the interior of the gating system. We've increased our passenger assist telephone towers at each of those platforms also. So we're giving there's more of a way to get a hold of us if you need us. So as I mentioned previously, the real-time camera center, all of those increased views that I was talking about, that the secure platform plan is enhancing on all of our Metrolink platforms, goes into this particular hub. And in this photograph, what I love about this photograph the most is that you see a wall of the camera views, but there are 4 different uniforms also noted on the team pictured within this photograph. There's one of our public safety dispatchers. There's one of our transit security team members in the yellow and black. And then there's also 2 St. Louis County police officers that are also staffed within the real-time camera center. What does that do for us, and what does that mean for you as a transit community member? That increased number of closed circuit cameras on our system also is not only on the Metrolink system, but it's also inside of all of our Metro buses, our Metrolink trains, and also all of our Metro caller rides. So if, for instance, you needed assistance while you were out within our transit community, all you would have to do is make notification to us. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit further or a little bit later in the slideshow. But what will happen is that if you call us and you alert to us that there's something that you need, what we can do is we can live feed in to whatever fleet that you are on. So if you're on a train and you need assistance, what will happen is if you notify us, we will immediately live view in to that train that's moving, and then we can assess what it is that we need to send to you at that location or for whatever that need is. Also, I'd really like to invite you all in to one of our tours. So I do educational tours in-house. So I like to bring community in so that we continue to grow this community. My name is obviously Melissa Webb, and then my direct phone number is on this slide. It's 314-363-1792. And my email address is mmwebb, that's WEBB, at metro stlewis.org. We have had well over 1,500 individuals since I've been with Bi-State, which is a little over 16 months, in the real-time camera center. Deep dive tour. That way you get to see everything firsthand on how we manage safety and security along our alignment and also along our fleet. This is what I'm really, really, really wanting you all to understand. Security and safety. When I was a police officer, the biggest thing that I would do is go out and I would meet my community. And one of the things that I always said to my community is that we're all part of this, right? So, for instance, if you see something within a neighborhood that doesn't look familiar to you or doesn't look quite right, you would call the police to come out and investigate and to help out in that situation. This is what we need from you also. So on this slide, it's our latest slogan. It's see something, say something. And we are available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We've also initiated not only our public assistance telephones, which you saw in the previous photograph, they're the blue terminals that are that flank both sides of our new secure platform plan gating system. But also we've initiated a texting, excuse me, phone number. And that phone number is super important. If you would write this down or put this in your phone somewhere, 314-300-0188, or you can call 314-289-6873. The reason that we're trying to talk about this more is that all those 1,500 people that I have brought into the real-time camera center and taken them out onto the Metrolink, it is just alarming to me that so many do not know about the texting option. Why is that important, that texting option? Well, that texting option is super important because maybe you're sitting there in close proximity to the individual that you feel nervous about, or there's something going on. You don't want to be on a telephone talking or saying anything. And our public safety dispatchers that are at that real-time camera center, it's imperative that they get a lot of information, right? So that texting availability provides people a secure way to get a hold of the real-time camera center to talk to a public safety dispatcher real time. And also, if, for instance, you wanted to take a quick photograph, you can send that photograph via text to our public safety dispatchers. Excuse me. But also, if you still want to make that phone call, they are available. And when you call, text, or hit the emergency button on the blue passenger assist telephone, it's a direct link into the real-time camera center. I am going to ensure that you get a video that we just recently created. So education is key, correct? Absolutely. Advocacy is imperative too. So what we wanted to do is we wanted to create a video that surrounded the see something, say something concept so that we can push that out to educate more people. The other thing is that along with the tours that we do, we wanted to keep people up on all that is going on with security within our transit system. So we've opened up 5 social media platforms, and I urge you all to come and visit. There you will learn more about your transit security team members. We keep it up to date on all the progress that's going on surrounding the secure platform plan. And any of our media or interviews that we do, we post those up. And all of our tours are also there too to see. So if you'd like Metro Transit Public Safety, LinkedIn, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, we're on all of those social media platforms. So please come and visit. And thank you again for all this and for allowing me to be here to speak.
The enhanced platform, is that now on all of them, or are you building out one at a time?
Well, thank you for asking. I'm sorry I forgot to cover that. So currently, as Amy alluded, we will have 39 Metrolink stops once the new Metrolink stop is, yes, I know, we're going to be going airport to airport, folks. That's just amazing for the region, right? So what we do have is we do have 11 stops that are currently have currently received the Secure Platform Plan enhancements. It looks amazing because the one reason that we've done this interim operation is so that we could also help and educate our public so that they got to see the gates, but also having a transit security team member there present at the gates to help navigate these new gates. The other stops are currently under construction. We have two companies that we are working with. On the Illinois side and the remaining Illinois stops, they're underway. You can see fencing going up at several of our locations. And then on the Missouri side, you're starting to see movement, especially at our North Hanley location. We're expected to be completed, all stops, by January of 2026.
So I wanted to just spend a couple minutes talking about those apps. So we have the transit app, that green snake looking app. Now, that is for MetroBus and MetroLink. You can plan a trip for MetroBus or MetroLink. You can see where that bus is in real time. You can pay for MetroBus and MetroLink fares and passes using your credit or debit card on there. And I want to say, you can always use cash for MetroBus, MetroLink, and Metro Caller Ride. That is not going away. That blue one that says Via Metro, that's if you're using the Via Metro St. Louis. You can plan trips for Via on there and also pay for your fare on the app. And then the newest one, which may be the most exciting, is called Metro Go with an exclamation point. And if you look for it in the Play Store or the App Store, it is also going to say STL Caller Ride. That's important. So you get to the right one. And you can do a lot of things on that Metro Go app. You can schedule your caller ride trips. You can see where your van is when it's less than about half an hour from arriving to your house or wherever you're at. It will also count down when it gets to that close time, and it will say your van is going to be there in about 12 minutes, about 11 minutes, all the way down. You can also pay for your fare. And if you were one of our brave folks who used the transit app to pay for e-fare for Caller Ride, oh my gosh, please try Metro Go. That's the system now, and it is so much simpler because when you make your reservation, it knows. And so you don't have to activate a ticket to show to the Caller Ride operator. They already know when you get on the van. So it's easy peasy, and they're not going to ask you for your $2 because they know you already paid. And like we talked about earlier, when you schedule your trip, it's gonna assign a charge either to your debit or credit card or take it out of your wallet within the app. And then if you cancel it, it puts it back. And if you keep your ride, then it's going to turn that into a real charge. So it is pretty much a game changer for Caller Ride. It also, with our new Spare Labs scheduling and dispatching software, so that's kind of all rolled in with this Metro Go app, you get notifications. If you schedule a trip, you should be getting a notification either by text or email or a phone call. It is an hour before your ride is scheduled to arrive and when the van is arriving. So that's one change that we are starting to talk with our customers about, is we really encourage you to be using those notifications, because then that helps to free up our dispatchers and our reservationists to be able to help people who need to call on the phone. So if you're able to use these notifications and things, that's great, because that helps us use our resources more wisely. Oh, this is just talking about the Metro Go app. We talked about things. You can use this on your iPad, tablet, phone. There is also one you can use on your computer. Obviously, you can't take your computer with you on the Call a Ride van if it's a desktop computer, but you can do all these kind of things. Schedule trips, see the trips you've scheduled, cancel a trip, check where your van is, and then set up your payments. So I'm going to put the website where you can see the video tutorial how to use MetroGo. And there's also some printed instructions if you like those. You can also send us an email or give us a call if you have some questions about using MetroGo.
I just wanted to give you all a shout out because I think you've listened to a lot of customer concerns and customer ideas, and you've made some changes that are very helpful and I think much needed for a lot of folks. The MetroGo app is super exciting. I've heard nothing but positive things about it. One of the things I wanted to ask while I had you today, at the time when things were kind of really difficult, there was a significant driver shortage. And I know you made a huge effort to do driver outreach and hiring. Can you talk a little bit about where you are with that?
Oh, I would love to. We are fully staffed with drivers,
That's
and
insane.
we have had, I have to say, nearly zero, because I think in November there was one ADA capacity denial. So nearly zero ADA capacity denial since October of 2024. So that means that when you call to make a reservation on Call a Ride for a trip that we're required to provide, we are able to accommodate you, and we are delivering more trips. I think last month it was somewhere 38,000 trips on Call a Ride in a month. Um, our on-time performance for this fiscal year, which is July up until now, is almost 92%. So almost 9 out of 10 trips we are on time.
Well, I'm just so happy to get these updated statistics from you and hear how you all continue to move forward. I'm going to challenge our audience. If you have not tried to use Metro services, if you're relying only on parents or friends to drive you places, I'm going to challenge you to give it a shot. Go and talk to the folks at Bi-State. Get a travel trainer assessment. Find out, maybe just you want to get to the gym back and forth, or maybe you just want to be able to get back and forth to your job. You don't have to use the buses every day, but try it out. See if it's going to be a good match for you.